What do the Lions think of Alex Anzalone? A lot, actually.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, we got ourselves a Friday edition, everybody, of Locked On Lions right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Matt Derry with you. Today is Friday, July 25th into Saturday, July 26th. Tomorrow, first practice in front of fans will take place down in Allen Park as the Lions training camp continues. And today was the first padded practice, which we've got some highlights for you coming up momentarily around the program. We had Justin Rogers on the show yesterday from Detroit Football Network. Get to DetroitFootballNetwork.net. Justin does a great job. I'm a subscriber, so I get all of his news in my inbox daily. But we didn't touch on Alex Anzalone yesterday with Justin, which is my fault. Should have done that. But I have some thoughts on his situation with the Lions currently. We'll get into that coming up momentarily. A national host completely forgets about the Lions when discussing the Super Bowl. And we've got a call of the day as well. If you want to be our call of the day, leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/Derry podcast page. Again, www.speakpipe.com/Derry, DERY podcast page. Locked On Lions today brought to you by Gametime. You're looking for tickets? Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Shout out to our everydayers that are out there. They'll watch and listen to the podcast daily. If you're checking us out on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel, we appreciate all of you. Too many to name today. It's a Friday. It's the end of the week, but we'll do some shout outs certainly next week. Appreciate all of you that check us out daily here on Locked On Lions. We had a great week. Justin Rogers was incredible Thursday. And Nate Burleson was awesome on Monday. So if you missed either of those shows, go back and check those guys out. Great guests, certainly this week. We got to get Sam Monson on soon, working on some other things as well. All right, the Alex Anzalone situation was not touched on by me or JR yesterday on this show. But today, Dan Campbell, before the first padded practice of training camp, did address the Alex Anzalone situation. Again, Alex is right now hamstring problem, wink, wink, and not participating in practices. He's not happy with his contract, as we know. Didn't show up for OTAs or anything like that. Says he's disappointed. Says he wants to be a Lion for life, but doesn't want to talk about the contract or negotiations that are going on. Today, Dan Campbell said the following on Alex, quote, "You guys know how I feel about Alex, how we feel about Alex. He's one of our dudes. We've leaned on him. He's a productive player. We're good. Still talking. There's no animosity here. There's nothing like that. So I'm not going to get into anything else outside of that. We're going to be good. We're going to be good. And yes, we're going to need him." End quote. So as of right now, today, Friday, July 25th, Alex Anzalone is currently on the final year of his 3-year, $18 million contract that he signed 2+ years ago. All right, he's on the last year of a deal that's going to pay him $6 million this year. For some of you, the fans, and I've seen some of the social media posts and everything else, oh my God, give me a break. It's Alex Anzalone, and he should be happy he's making $6 million, and these millionaires complaining. Look, Alex Anzalone wants to get paid what he feels is fair market value. When a guy like Fred Warner, and look, Alex Anzalone is not as good as Fred Warner, all right, but Fred Warner of the Niners makes over $20 million a year. All right, Zach Bond, off a great year with the Eagles last year, got paid 3 years, $51 million. All right, nearly $18 million a year for Zach Bond. You know, Alex is making $6 million, so he wants a bump up. And he's not happy about the contract. And also, every single veteran player that means a damn to this franchise has been re-signed recently, right? Aleem McNeil, Amon-Ra, Jared Goff. The list goes on and on of the veteran players that the Lions decided to bring back and reward. Penei Sewell, Kirby Joseph. All right, list goes on and on. The Lions have rewarded the guys that have meant a lot to them. Alex Anzalone is going, what about me? This is my fourth year. as a defensive captain. Yet, nothing. Are the Lions offering anything? Could they give him an offer? Now, remember, he's 31. Could they give Alex Anzalone an offer of like 2 years and $10 million and backload it? So, who knows? Front load it, whatever. Give him a big bonus for signing, but then let's say he has a bad year this year and you're stuck with him for 2 more. You want to cover yourself. Alex has gotten better every year. He's the Gaines Media poster boy, as we like to call him. The blonde flowing locks. Guy flies around the field. He has gotten better every year. But you know what's interesting? Number one, there's no long-term deal here yet. Number two, Dan Campbell the other day goes on Sirius XM NFL radio and says, this is Jack Campbell's defense. He didn't say it's Alex Anzalone's defense, even though Anzalone's the veteran player. Anzalone has played in the middle at linebacker. Anzalone has had the green dot on his helmet. But what's interesting about this situation is there's kind of a transition, a passing of the torch here at linebacker, which usually your middle linebackers, your inside linebackers, they help lead the team. They help call the signals. Jack Campbell is entering year 3. He wears the green dot on his helmet. And Dan Campbell said, this is his defense. He's taken ownership. He stepped in there and he kind of sets the tone for everybody. That a quote from Dan Campbell on Sirius XM. Got the quote from prideofdetroit.com. Got to give Jeremy, Eric, and the crew props. Great piece on that today. So this is his defense. This is not Alex Anzalone's defense, according to, and it's not a slight. I don't think Dan Campbell is slighting anybody. And let me tell you something about Dan. Let me tell you something about Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell wants this to work. Dan Campbell wants Alex Anzalone on the team. He's not lying about 2025. He knows if this team is going to go places, if they're going to reach the Super Bowl, if they're going to win a lot of games, they need Anzalone next to Jack Campbell. But as far as contractual things in the future, this organization is having pause about extending a 31-year-old who maybe his best football is behind him. Who knows? Anzalone's agent might be going, we want 14 or 15. If Zach Bond's getting 18 and Fred Warner's getting 23 and this guy's getting 15, this guy's getting 16 and Nick Bolton's getting 15 or 16 in Kansas City, can we at least get 13, 14? And maybe the Lions are going, you're in your 30s, 2 at 20. And there's a stalemate, right? This is part of the deal. Alex has shown up. Alex spoke to the media the other day. Now, it was he seemed to go around the bend a few times just to get next door. And I'm not so sure, and this is, again, speculation, but this hamstring injury he has, is that really a hamstring injury, or is he kind of holding in right now, waiting? But he says he's going to play regardless. We'll see. But a lot is going against him right now when you publicly have the head coach saying it's Jack Campbell's defense. There's been no talk of a new deal. And the Lions, they're I think, what did Anzalone sign? This is year 5. Did Anzalone sign a pair of 1-year deals? And then, I think he did a 1-year deal, then another 1 year, and then they gave him the 3-year. He's gotten better every year. He has. His first year, I was like, who is this guy? He's a backup. He's gotten better. And they need him for this year. But I'm not so sure the Lions are committing to anything in the future. And they've said a lot of positive things about him, and then they've done some things action-wise, including a comment about, this is Jack Campbell's defense, where it's like they might be passing the torch and moving on. So that's my take on the Anzalone situation. You'll wonder if the team is offering something small, something, like I said, 2 at 20, something like that, $10 million a year. And maybe he's going, I want another 3 years. We don't know what he wants. He has said, you got to ask Dan and Brad. He's not talking about his contract or what he's asking for at the moment. I just hope he's on the field September 7th when the Lions travel to curly Lambeau Field, face the Packers. You want the Lions are not as good of a team if Alex Anzalone isn't out there. They're not as good. They need him. Future-wise, am I committing big dollars to him? I don't know. We know the Lions aren't, at least right now, or else something would be signed. All right, Lions practiced in pads today. Who is at center? We'll tell you coming up next. And Locked On Lions today brought to you by the Gametime app. Have you ever decided last minute you want to head to the ball game with friends or family? Maybe tonight you want to go down to Comerica Park to see the red-hot Toronto Blue Jays and the ice-cold Detroit Tigers. Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. Well, that's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices in the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worrying out of buying. All right. Tired of endless scrolling to try to find the best deal? Gametime's got zone deals that pick the best seats in your section for you. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Matt Derry with you. Hope everybody's going to have a great weekend and staying cool out there. It seems like it's hot again today here on a Friday. Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Great stuff yesterday from Justin Rogers, Detroit Football Network, and Monday as well with Nate Burleson. By the way, Natalie Kerwin from FanDuel Sports Detroit. We had her on, was it last week or the week before? And we shouted out her dad, Jeff Kerwin, who's a everyday listener. I'll be breaking bread soon with Jeff Kerwin. All right, so first day in pads today for the Lions, which meant they were allowed to hit each other. And what's funny is the last 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, they weren't in pads, just helmets, shells, whatever. And fights broke out, pushing and shoving. Not big fights, but a lot of pushing and shoving. Brian Branch was in the middle of it, Tim Patrick, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Maurice Norris got kicked out of practice on Wednesday. Today, the Lions got into pads, and two things stood out. Well, three things. Number one, there was no shoving, no pushing, and no fighting. That's number one. Number two, for the second day in a row, Tate Ratledge was at right guard. Graham Glasgow was at center. Lions started training camp this week, and for the first handful of days, Ratledge was taking all the snaps at center, and Glasgow was playing guard. And I just kind of said, and especially with Graham's comments that he made to Dave Burkett and to the other beat writers, like, Glasgow's happy to be back where he's more comfortable, which is at right guard. He was at left guard last year, did not play well, said he was banged up. And now Christian Mahogany's at left guard. And guess what, folks? Christian Mahogany is staying at left guard. He has been a pillar at left guard since camp started. But the last 2 days, Glasgow at center, Ratledge at guard. I still say, and I might be in the minority, I still say Ratledge is going to start week 1 at center. I don't think this team wants to slow play this. I think they believe he's going to be the guy now and in the future, and the future is now. The time is now, Jim Caldwell. So, but with that being said, they still want to make sure that Glasgow can play center and is getting reps at center in case something happens to Ratledge. They are not tipping their hand on what their plan is long-term. Ratledge told the media yesterday, look, I actually took some snaps at center at training camp at Georgia. So it's not like I've never, ever snapped a football before. So that's important. They were in pads today, and it was Glasgow at center. So we have no fights. We have Glasgow at center. And number 3, everybody that was there, and I got 2 text messages this morning from people that were there, all said the same thing about Aiden Hutchinson. He looks great. everybody says Aiden Hutchinson looks better than he did ever before. Now, for a guy coming off a broken fibula and tibia, to look better than he's ever looked before is awesome. They are relying heavily, and they have for years. And, the talk of edge rusher, and I know Hutchinson, today they were asking Hutchinson, you got a nickname for you and Marcus Davenport? All of a sudden, Marcus Davenport's like second coming of Lawrence Taylor. And look, I hope he is. Got a nickname for you too. But Hutchinson feels great, looks great, and looks like he hasn't lost a step. And you're talking about a guy that broke 2 massive bones in his leg, yet feels like, man, I am back to 100%, and I'm even doing better. If that's the case, think about the tear that he was on at the start of last year before he got injured. Aiden Hutchinson was on a pace to be Defensive Player of the Year. He was on pace for over 20 sacks. He was killing people. And then the injury in the Dallas game, and we know how the rest of the season went. But that's great news. Also, by the way, Tyleik Williams not at practice today. No injuries, wasn't even spotted. So I don't know if he had a personal day or had to go somewhere. Was excused from practice, but first day in pads, no Tyleik Williams at defensive tackle. So wasn't even at practice today. So good news, Derek Barnes and Terrion Arnold both got hurt yesterday. Both were on the field today. Terrion looks good. Everybody is saying that this is a guy that's made major strides. Kelvin Shepard, the Lions D coordinator, said that yesterday as well. All right, this was interesting. I've got to play you this audio. Colin Cowherd, the Herd on Fox Sports Radio and FS1. Colin Cowherd was asked did a segment about who could win the Super Bowl in the NFL. And he said he thinks there's only 5 teams that can do it. Only 5. So take a listen to this because, I mean, when I tell you, I got to cue it up here. When I tell you, he forgot a certain team. Just take a listen to this. This was Colin Cowherd yesterday on Fox Sports 1.
Super Bowl next year. Going into the season, Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore. They just got better players, better coaches. I think we both think Denver and the Chargers are interesting, but Bo Nix hoisting a trophy seems rare. We know Philadelphia is really, really good, and McVay and the Rams will be there. And then there'll be a couple of really interesting teams. I don't think Brock Purdy now with an older team and a shaky O-line works. But I've been arguing this for years. Picking division winners in the NFL, 6 of 8, is not that difficult.
All right, so the intro part cut off, my fault. Colin Cowherd said there's only 5 teams that could win the Super Bowl this year. Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and the Rams. What about the Lions? Only 5 teams and didn't mention Detroit? The Lions won 15 games a year ago. I am well aware of the Frank Ragnow retirement and the defections of many assistant coaches, including Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. I'm also well aware Kevin Zeitler is gone. But I think this Lions defense is going to be really good. I think they're going to miss Aleem McNeil at the start of the year, but I like what I'm seeing and hearing about so far. But KC, Buffalo, and Baltimore, you can't argue that. The Rams? And I know Colin Colin was in LA. He's now in Chicago, but Colin was an LA guy for a long time. The Rams have a good team. Rams young defense with Verse and those guys, excellent. Kobe Turner, excellent. But Philly and the Rams, and that's it. And the Rams schedule is a lot easier than the Lions. And maybe all these teams in the NFC North beat up each other, and maybe nobody goes very far this year based upon how competitive the NFC North is. But to pick 5 teams and not mention Detroit in the same breath with those teams, I think is wrong. I'm not telling you here on July 25th, Lions are winning the Super Bowl. Wait, I'm not telling you that. I'm not so sure. But a Super Bowl contender and a team that can win it, absolutely. It is very hard to repeat. Philly has to try to repeat. Matthew Stafford is closing in on 40. Very good quarterback still. All right. Had great chemistry with Cooper Kupp, who's now gone. Devontae Adams all of a sudden is going to be the Devontae from 5 years ago. I'm not so sure. Rams are good. Lions are just as good, if not better. So a little disappointing to hear that from Colin. I've always been a Colin fan. So, all right. Coming up next, call of the day. A very intriguing, interesting question from one of our listeners. We'll play that for you next here on a Friday, Locked On Lions. All right, folks, we got to tell you about Yahoo Fantasy. That's right. Fantasy football is back. Fire up the group chat, get your draft board ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all the overreactions that we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, Locked On Lions, we're here. We're playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league. All right? Many of my buddies have used Yahoo Fantasy for years. And the reason why they love it is they love how smooth the draft day experience is. All right. Platform's great. Layout, it's simple. Yahoo Fantasy has been around longer than anybody. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. It all starts August 4th. Stay tuned and get started by creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy Football League at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Let's make this fantasy season the best one yet. All right, it is about that time, folks. Call of the day. If you want to be our call of the day, you want to be on the show, leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/Derry, DERY podcast page. That is a speakpipe.com/Derry podcast page. Today, Mark is checking in. Hey, it's Mark again. We're checking in with Mark, and he's got a very interesting question on today's call of the day. Take a listen.
Hi, Matt. This is Mark in Port Huron. I'm currently an everyday fan. My multi-part question is about current player guests on the show. I noticed that you haven't had any current Lion players on as guests, at least not since I've been checking out the podcast on YouTube for the past year. Part one, do you have a list of potential guests which might include some Lion players, or is that easier said than done? Is it a difficult process to line up player guests? Just curious, and I'd love to hear what goes into it. Also, can you provide a few names of players that you might consider having on the show? And last but not least, finally, if there is a holy grail player, a guest, past or present, that you wish that you could have on the show, who would it be? Thanks very much for taking my topic, and keep up the great content, Matt. Really appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Mark. That is our call of the day today. Mark checking in, one of our everydayers. Love our everydayers that are with us daily. Appreciate all of you. Trust me. Mark asked a very good question. This is one that I've not been asked before, so it kind of caught me off guard today. But first and foremost, player interviews at times can be a little boring. All right. You've got to find the guys that have great personalities. I don't bother the Lions media relations staff that much with requests. They are just jammed with requests a lot. They are. We've been here doing this podcast. This will be our 10th season coming up this fall. 10 years of doing the show. So that's awesome. The Lions PR staff, media relations have been great to us. When we've needed something, they've provided it. They have reached out to me, which I appreciate. I'm thinking the last player, Mark, that we had on was Craig Reynolds, I believe last year, just to talk about, come on, Craig, and everything. And we love Craig Reynolds. Always do the come on, Craig. We love him. And we had Craig on, and the Lions set that up for us. But I don't really ask much for players because I don't want to bother them, number one. Number two, I think there are certain guys that are just kind of boring. And I kind of let it go. I don't. Maybe we'll get somebody on. I also have to do this. And this is what I think, and I agree with how media relations handle things. Eamon Reynolds and Solomon Williams run the media relations department. Ellie, the whole crew there is great. Those two guys, though, Eamon and Solomon, have been there a long time. I consider Eamon a friend. He's great. Great guy. But I'd probably have to go down to practice to show my face. They would bring a player to me and I could record it on my phone. There's a lot of stuff we could do. But I've got to get down there, and I have not been down there in a while because I've got another job. I run marketing and business development for two other companies here in town, Financial Architects, Inc. and Q5 Experience, where we help people with their exit planning needs. So I'm busy during the morning. So to leave my 9 to 5 to go down there, I've got to do it. I've got to make an effort. It's been difficult to do. But I'll get down there eventually and probably talk to the guys, and maybe we'll get something set up. But we had Craig Reynolds on. I know Solomon set that up for us. And so we'll do it again. We'll do it again. As far as who I would want to talk to, a current or past player, I would love to get Frank Ragnow on here once the dust is settling a little bit on his retirement and really dig deep into what his thinking was. He really doesn't want to do any interviews right now. But I would love to get him on. I think he'd be great. And I'll tell you this, I've always wanted to do this show and try to find him and see if he would do it. And I need to pursue this more, but I would love to get former Lions general manager, the man I dubbed the maestro, Bob Quinn, on. I would love to ask Bob Quinn, what in the hell were you thinking hiring Matt Patricia? Now, again, at the time, we all loved the Patricia hire because he was a defensive coordinator for the Patriots and they'd won a bunch of Super Bowls, and he was from the Belichick tree. But knowing Patricia like Quinn knew him from New England and interviewing him again and going through that process, I was just like, what were you thinking? How did you think this was going to work? And plus, Bob Quinn really hasn't done any interviews since the Lions fired him years ago. What was that like? What was it like dealing with ownership? How much of it was ownership's fault back then? Because now ownership is great. Love to get him on maybe sometime and see if he would be even willing to do it, or if he had put kind of the past in the past. So great question, Mark. Thank you all for checking us out this week here on Locked On Lions. Back again on Monday. We will have a Thursday post-game show. You heard me right. Thursday night, Lions Chargers, baby. Woo! Hall of Fame game. We're going to have a Thursday post-game show. I cannot wait. Talk to you again next week.